Brothers and sisters, my beloved, how are you today? It is so good to be with you. Welcome to Readings with Regina, and I am Dr. Regina Jennings. All right. Now, as you can see from the banner, it's still Black August. So we are celebrating and we are remembering and we are honoring our political prisoners. They are heroes of our time, and I want you to treat them as such. And one of the things I wanted to also mention before I get started, there's Huey P. Newton. See, this is the old version of revolutionary suicide. This is his autobiography, a book that you should get. Huey P. Newton and Bobby G. Seale made history when they started the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And when they started the Black Panther Party for self-defense, George Jackson, whom I've showed you before, who is actually an inspiration for Black August, he was drafted into the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And I wanted to definitely mention that to you. Before I get started with the books, I want to welcome my new subscribers. Thank you. Thank you. You make my heart feel so good. All right. And for my new subscribers, I just want to say this again. My old subscribers or original subscribers, you already know what I'm about to say about reading. My new subscribers may not. Reading or being read to, it improves the brain. It improves the functions of the brain. The synapses, the neural networks, they connect all throughout the brain, which makes the person who is listening to words or reading himself or herself more healthy and certainly more smarter. And what I want to do while I am on earth is to make Black people smarter. So, one of the things that I have done en route to that intellectual growth is to share with you your Black literary history in America. You should know your Black literary history. All right. Now, since this is Black August and we are celebrating, let me show you my book. We are celebrating political prisoners. We are highlighting them. I wanted to just show you there's Bobby. Bobby's on, well, he's on my left. There's Huey on my right. And this is my book. Because what I wanted to do in this book is to show how poetry was a very critical part of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And I love, love, love this book cover. All right. Now, I'm going to read to you from, let me find it, Afeni Shakur's book, Evolution of a Revolutionary by Jasmine Guy. Jasmine Guy is interviewing Afeni, and this book is absolutely remarkable because Afeni Shakur was remarkable. She was one of the New York 21 that the police and the federal government tried to set up so that they could be killed. And Afeni represented herself in court. And do you know that New York Panther won? Yes. So you definitely ought to check out her book. Let me show it to you again. Afeni Shakur. All right, here we go. And what Jasmine Guy has asked her is when and why she joined the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And this is what Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mom, this is what she said. Well, let's go back to when I joined the party. That is when I felt most empowered. I believed in them, Afeni said. Believed in what? Jasmine Guy asked. The principles, the plan. I started the breakfast program to feed children on their way to school. Let me stop and mention this to you. This country had no breakfast for school children before the Black Panther Party for self-defense. If your child or grandchild is being fed in school right now. Thank Huey P. Newton and Bobby G. Seale. Thank Afeni Shakur and all other Panthers. Panthers started the breakfast program. This country did not care enough about black children or even poor white children to have breakfast for them. So the Panthers recognized that our kids were going to school hungry. And they did something about it. They didn't go to any politician. They didn't write a grant. They just used the sources of each community to feed our children. Hello. I love them. Absolutely. Okay, let me continue reading. I joined because I could use my mouth for speeches to raise money for that program. I joined because I was fearless. I was a gangster. Go ahead, girl. And I could do whatever was necessary to keep the Black Panther Party alive. I joined for free clinics. Yes! The Black Panther Party persuaded doctors to treat poor people for free. Yes! I joined for all that because it would have helped my mama if we had had that kind of help from our community. Those programs would have helped my mother with her 2 girls tremendously. And those programs would have helped my mother in a way that would have saved her dignity. I joined because the Panthers answered the needs of the people. Yes! In my community. I believed in those programs. And I still believe in participating in your community, especially in schools. I believe in restoring your community from the external structures of that community to the actual families. I believe it is the responsibility of every individual in a community to take back our schools, take back our minds, take back our bodies, and nurture our children. That is our job, then and now. That's where I am. That's Afeni talking like a true sister Panther. All right. Now, I'm going to read from Assata. Let me show you her book. Assata Shakur. She's sitting in Cuba. Yes, she is. She was a recipient of one of the greatest escapes of all time because the state wanted to kill her because she was a brilliant Black Panther and a member of the Black Liberation Army. She was forced to go underground, but she's alive and she's with us today. And politicians, including Barack Obama, yes, kept putting her bail or a reward for her bounty, just like they used to do to enslaved blacks who were runaways. They keep raising the bounty on Assata. Okay? They want to prove something, that a Black woman can't be courageous and brilliant enough to escape their claws. Here we go. This is Assata Shakur. On July 19, 1973, I was taken to New York to be arraigned on a Queens bank robbery indictment in Brooklyn Federal Court. The trip was like a surrealistic cartoon. There must have been at least 12 cars in the procession, and a New Jersey State Trooper's car was stationed at every exit on the turnpike. All the cars had lights on and sirens going. 12 cars for this one little sister. A helicopter trailed us, and the pigs in the car, they were comical. At every point, they said something like, "At least we got to the turnpike. At least we got to the bridge. At least we got to New York. At least we made it to the court." Whenever they passed a police car, they waved and sometimes raised their fists. See, they were imitating. They were imitating Black Power people. When the Jersey police were replaced by New York police at the bridge to Staten Island, they shook hands and gave each other the power sign. They even called each other brother. Now this is 73. This is my brother officer so-and-so. They acted like they were on some dangerous mission. They were actually afraid. White people's fear of black people with guns will never cease to amaze me. Probably it's because they think about what they would do were they in our place, especially the police, who have done so much dirt to black people. Oh, their guilty conscience tells them to be afraid. When black people seriously organize and take up arms to fight for liberation, there will be a lot of white people who will drop dead from no other reason than their own guilt and fear. In September, I was moved from the workhouse and entombed in the basement of the Middlesex County Jail, allegedly because of the jail's proximity to the Middlesex County Courthouse, where the New Jersey trial was scheduled to begin on October 1st. I was the first and last woman ever imprisoned there. It has always been a men's jail. When I arrived, I was given a dirty, scratchy horse blanket and one sheet. Thinking they had made a mistake, I asked for another sheet. That's all you get, they told me. I can't sleep with that filthy thing over me. I need another sheet. Sorry. Why am I allowed only one sheet? That's all the men get. We only give one because they might hang themselves. Oh yeah, like Sandra Bland hung herself. Like Sandra Bland hung herself. Yo. They can hang themselves as easily with one sheet as they can with two, Assata reasoned. Sorry. For me to sleep on that filthy thing with one sheet was out of the question. I hooped, I hollered, I demanded they call my lawyer, and told the guard that the next time she came into my cage, that's what jail is, I was going to wrap the sheet around her neck. Finally, she gave me another sheet. Now, you see what standing up for your rights is like? All right, we're going to switch now back into the 19th century. We're going to switch to this novel, Dessa Rose. Dessa Rose is based on an 1829 revolt of a black pregnant woman. She got out of her chains on the coffle. Let me show you a coffle. This is for my new people especially. A coffle is how they moved enslaved people from one part of the country to another to be sold, S-O-L-D, on an auction block or private sale. Well, this sister somehow got out of her chains, got brothers out of their chains, and they took over that coffle. And she was pregnant. So in Dessa Rose, let me again put the picture up. In Dessa Rose, this story is about that sister. We honestly don't have a lot of info on her, but Shirley Ann Williams created this story about this sister, named her Dessa Rose. And Dessa is now, she's been rescued from jail, and she's on another plantation that is owned by a white woman named Rufel, and Rufel's husband is not there. So we have all of these enslaved black people. Now, Rufel is not an abolitionist, a white, no, she's not. But her husband's not there, and all of these runaways have run to her plantation, and they are keeping the plantation going, okay? So this is Rufel. She's now looking at Dessa. She doesn't want to believe that Dessa has been branded between her legs. I want all my sisters, and you brothers can do this too, feel the inside of your thigh. That's where they branded Dessa Rose. And they also put her in the sweat box, and they also beat her, and she's pregnant. All of this is because she attacked her master, because her master had killed her enslaved husband, Cain. All right. So this is going to be Rufel's perspective, and it's an important one because it gives you the inside thoughts that a female enslaver, not an abolitionist, that's very important, what a female enslaver thinks about the enslaved people, because slavery, understand this, people, slavery was legal. Slavery was even often mandated. It was good to have slaves, all right? It was a high status. Plus, you had, all the labor was free. You didn't have to do a lot. All right. The wench, that's what she called Dessa, was dozing on the pallet when Rufel returned to the house. The baby snuggled carefully in the crook of her arm, and Rufel stood a moment in the doorway watching them. They were as peaceful as a painting, the girl a vivid chocolate and jet against the whiteness of the sheets, the baby as bright as toast against the bedding, and the darkie's arm. The darkie's tale of beatings and brandings seemed in that moment a lie to cozen the gullible and trade on the goodwill of the open-hearted. Rufel stalked across the floor and knelt by the pallet. The wench awakened almost immediately, her eyes gleaming forth from the darkness of her face, quickly hidden as she ducked her head under Rufel's gaze. "What's your name, gal?" Rufel asked sharply. Dessa Rose, ma'am," she said in a raspy voice. Rufel was slightly taken aback. She had not expected the wench to answer so readily. "Why'd you run away?" The darky kept her eyes downcast and plucked nervously at the coverlet. Cause I didn't want my baby to be slaved," she said finally in a rush and still without looking at Rufel. Rufel looked at the baby, seeing in him the pickaninnies at Mobile. "And that's what he'll look like too, if I put you all out of here," she thought pettishly. "I mean, why your mistress use you so?" "'Cause she can," the wench said on a long, shuddering breath as she turned her face away. Rufel was stunned for a moment by the ring of utter truth in the statement. Yet, almost of its own volition, her hand reached to draw back the covers from the darkie's body. She drew back at Rufel's touch, her eyes popping open in alarm. Rufel blushed, thinking for the first time of how humiliating she would find such an inspection. Are you healing property?" "Yes, ma'am." Why, Rufel thought, this wench actually is afraid of me, conscious for the first time that she herself could be in physical danger from all of these strange darkies. She realized that she had fallen into the habit of thinking of the runaways as a slightly malicious means of evening the score in their continuing estrangement in the neighborhood. Okay. See, Rufel is a white woman in the 19th century, alone on a plantation, and Dessa's rescuers had scouted out this place where they could rescue Dessa from being hung, because she was on her way to being hanged. The only reason she didn't get hung right away is because she was carrying a child, and a child meant more wealth for whoever bought her. So Rufel is in a bind here. And what I just read you, that is from her perspective. Now I'm going to go to another book. Let me find it. Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs or Linda Brent. This book was written, I think it was written in the late 1850s, and it was published in the 1860s. Now, I want to show you this woman too. Lydia Mariah Child. Lydia is important. I always show her because she is the reason. Now, she was a true abolitionist. She is the reason that Incidents for a Slave Girl even made it to print. All right. Now, what's important about Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl? This is an actual story of an enslaved sister and what she went through. Okay. Here we go. Let me see. Where am I? Okay. Oh, here I am. My mistress grew weary of her vigils. They did not prove satisfactory. She changed her tactics. She now tried the trick of accusing my master of crime in my presence and gave my name as the author of the accusation. The mistress's has been grooming Linda since she was 14. Linda's now 16, and the master is a doctor, Dr. Flint, and he is around 50, 45 or 50 years old, and he groomed this child. That's why some of my earlier episodes mentioned pedophilia. You want to talk pedophilia? Let's go back to the enslavement of Black people and the foundation of this country on which slavery was very much a part. Okay. To my utter astonishment, he replied, I don't believe it. But if she did acknowledge it, you tortured her into exposing me. Tortured into exposing him? Truly. Satan had no difficulty in distinguishing the color of his soul. I understood his object in making this false representation. It was to show me that I gained nothing by seeking the protection of my mistress, that the power was still all in his own hands. I pitied was a second wife, many years the junior of her husband. And the hoary-headed miscreant was enough to try the patience of a wiser and better woman. She was completely foiled and knew not how to proceed. She would gladly have me flogged for my supposed false oath. But as I have already stated, the doctor never allowed anyone to whip me. Whip me. This is how you make a slave, or try to. You beat them. The old sinner was politic. The application of the lash might have led to remarks that would have exposed him in the eyes of his children and grandchildren. How often did I rejoice that I lived in a town where all the inhabitants knew each other. If I had been on a remote plantation, and many of us have been, many of our ancestors were on a remote plantation, Lord, help them, Lord, wow, or lost among the multitude of a crowded city, I should not be a living woman at this day. The secrets of slavery are concealed like those of the Inquisition. If you all don't know the Inquisition, look it up. My master was, to my knowledge, the father of 11 slaves, and that's just to her knowledge. That's just to her knowledge. I'm going to read that again. My master, to my knowledge, was the father of 11 slaves, but did the mothers dare to tell who was the father of their children? Did the other slaves dare to allude to it, except in whispers among themselves? No, indeed. They knew too well the terrible consequences. My grandmother could not avoid seeing things which excited her suspicions. She was uneasy about me and tried various ways to buy me. Buy me. Okay, I lost my place. Give me a second, because every time I think about how we would have to buy our own family members in this country called America. Now, let me see, where was I? Ways to buy me. But the never-changing answer was always repeated. Dr. Flint would say, Linda does not belong to me. She is my daughter's property, and I have no legal right to sell her. The conscientious man, he was too scrupulous to sell me, but he had no scruples whatever about committing a much greater wrong against this hapless young girl placed under his guardianship as his daughter's property. Sometimes my persecutor would ask me whether I would like to be sold. I told him I would rather be sold to anybody than to lead such a life as I did. On such occasions, he would assume the air of a very injured individual and reproach me for my ingratitude. Did I not take you into the house and make you the companion of my own children? He would say. Have I ever treated you like a Negro, small n? I have never allowed you to be punished, not even to please your mistress. And this is the recompense I get, you ungrateful girl. I answered that he had reasons of his own for screening me from punishment, and that the course he pursued made my mistress hate me and persecute me. If I wept, he would say, "Poor child, don't cry, don't cry. I will make peace for you with your mistress. Only let me arrange matters in my own way. Poor foolish girl, you don't know what is for your own good. I would cherish you. I would make a lady of you. Now go and think of all I have promised you." All right. Now, this man has been torturing this kid ever since he purchased her or was handed down to her, because what enslavers would do is they would pass down enslaved people throughout the family. Now, the last book I'm going to read to you was written in 1858, Clotel, by William Wells Brown. Clotel was the daughter of Thomas Jefferson. Okay, yes, he put his mistress on an auction block. Yeah, he let it happen. Okay, most of your presidents, 10 to 12 of them, owned slaves. So slavery was legal. I really want you to understand that, people. I really want you to understand the power of laws. All right. It starts off with a poem, and I'm going to read the poem. 19th century poetry was hot. The chapter is called The Separation. In many ways does the full heart reveal the presence of the love it would conceal, but in far more the estranged heart lets know the absence of the love which yet it fain would show. At length, the news of the approaching marriage of Horatio hit the ear or met the ear of Clotel. Her head grew dizzy, and her heart fainted within her. Let me explain, especially for my new listeners. Clotel, as you might imagine, she is the daughter of a biracial couple, Thomas Jefferson, and this very light enslaved woman. So she's very light herself. So for very light enslaved people, they would give quadroon balls. The word quadroon was a very, 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 very fair-skinned enslaved person, black person. Boom. So Clotel was at one of the balls, and this man, dressed up in finery and all this, and this man, Horatio, he purchased her. So her husband was also her enslaver. But dig this. This is a man of ambition. He wants to go places. Okay? He got a little wealth. So he certainly can't really have a wife who is also his slave. Okay? So he's getting ready to get married to a politician's daughter. All right. So Clotel had never complained of his decreasing tenderness or of her own lonely hours, but he felt that the mute appeal of her heartbroken looks was more terrible than words. He kissed the hand she offered, and with a countenance almost as sad as her own, led her to a window in the recess shadowed by a luxuriant passion flower. It was the same seat where they had spent their first evening in the beautiful cottage consecrated to their first love. The rush of memory almost overpowered poor Clotel, and Horatio felt too much oppressed and ashamed to break the long, deep silence. At length, in words scarcely audible, Clotel said, "Tell me, dear Horatio, are you to be married next week?" He dropped her hand as if a rifle ball had struck him, and it was not until after a long hesitation that he began to make some reply about the necessity of circumstances. Mildly but earnestly, the poor girl begged him to spare apologies. It was enough that he no longer loved her, and that they must bid farewell. Trusting to the yielding tenderness of her character, he ventured, in the most soothing accents, to suggest that, as he still loved her better than all the world, she would never, ever be his real wife, and they might see each other frequently. He was not prepared for the storm of indignation his words excited. True, she was his slave. Her bones and sinews had been purchased by his gold. Yet she had the heart of a true woman, and hers was a passion too deep and absorbing to admit of partnership, and her spirit was too pure to form a selfish league with crime. At length, this painful interview came to an end. They stood together by the Gothic gate, where they had so often met and parted in the moonlight. Old remembrances melted their souls. Now, I'm going to stop right here. I just want to go over Clotel one more time. Did I show you the book? I'm not sure if I did. That's Clotel. William Wells Brown, the president's daughter. All right. Now, Tom Jefferson had, a lot of daughters. He had a lot of sons too. Okay. But this is one of them. And her story is a particular one that I wanted to share because of the colorism and the color schisms that was going on back during enslavement. Okay. And they continued on right into the modern age. But the point is this: a white man of means could buy any woman that he wanted and then leave her for a pure white wife, or do double duty, just hang with both of them. Because Clotel's position was one that many women wish that they had who were enslaved. That's how terrible slavery was. So, brothers and sisters, this is Black August. I want you to remember Kamal Siddiqui. I want you to remember Imam Amin. I want you to remember Mumia Abu Jamal. I want you to remember all political prisoners right now. Right now. I want you to go to the Jericho movement, and I want you to find out about political prisoners that perhaps you can write to. Help them out. They're encaged. You are not. These are your heroes. Just like these two brothers who stood up in this country for you. Okay? They didn't do it for themselves. They did it for you. There was not going to be any more Mike Browns. When the Black Panther Party of self-defense was on the scene, no more Sandra Bland's. No more Earl Gardners. No more Trayvon Martins. So do get to know your history and hang out with Readings with Regina. I come on Tuesday, 2 o'clock. I come on again on Thursday, 2 o'clock. So, hang with me. Share these videos with your children, grandchildren, and friends. Okay? Make reading and listening to be read to a part of your life. Well, brothers and sisters, I'm getting ready to sign off. It's been beautiful as always to be with you. And one last thing, know that I pray for you every night and every morning. I love you dearly. Peace, and I'll see you on Thursday.